Hi, and welcome back to Gavin's Sonex B. Well, this is the October update, and actually quite a lot has happened in the last few weeks. Little bits and pieces, but the most dramatic change has been to this room. This is the room for the last 3 years has been the workshop where I've been building the aircraft. Well, it's no longer a workshop. Hardly recognizable. It's been transformed into, let's go wider. It's been transformed into a bedroom because my mother is coming to stay. And so I've had to move everything out of the workshop, and the aircraft is now in the garage, and the rest of the parts and some of the racking, etc., are up on the mezzanine. So there we go, a big change, and it was a good thing to do because the aircraft is at that point where I'm on the top line of the plan, and it all needs putting together, and it would not fit in this room anymore. So it had to come out anyway. Mother is coming to stay for 3 months. We're going back to the UK at the end of this week, and we're going to pick her up and bring her back here, and she's staying till February. Anyway, I'll show you what else has changed. So looking at the plan, you can see that all these boxes are green up to the top row. The windshield and canopy ones have been ticked. I'll take you out into the garage to show you what I've done there, and we're pretty much ready to do the final assembly of the aircraft, which is good news. We're now up on the mezzanine, and this is where some of the racking has been repositioned and repurposed to store what's left of the parts for the aircraft. Mostly finished components. So up on the top we've got the rudder, the elevator, the flaps, the ailerons are all complete up there. The horizontal and vertical stabilizers are at the end there, and the tail wheel, the tunnel, the rear wing spar is in there somewhere. Then we've got all the avionics and electrical equipment is below it. The few parts that I have left to actually put on the aircraft, which is very few. And then in the corner over here is the engine yet to be assembled, and then tools and spare raw material, etc. is all there. The drawings, my laptop, and my nice desk. So that's where that's all been relocated to. So here we are. This is the outside of the what was my workshop for 3 years, and the aircraft has now moved. These are our apartments that we rent out on the right here, and we've got guests in at the moment. We're open all year if anybody wants to come and visit us. And that's the main gate where we come in, and then on the left here is the garage where the Sonex is now located, and there it is. So the observant of you will notice that I've done the windscreen, and it was challenging, I must say. I've also assembled the cockpit, the canopy frame, and that's currently sitting in position, just basically drilling some holes because I want to be able to finish the top longerons off, so that I can actually start riveting the front half of this together finally. And I need to drill the holes in order to be able to take the longerons off, to be able to deburr the inside, which of the longerons, because they're square tube basically. And so I have a small file attached to a piece of plastic, which I can push down the inside of the tube to deburr the inside. I've done a little test and it seems to work, so that's all good. So at the moment the two halves of the fuselage are attached together, and as I say, I have done the windscreen. It was challenging, as I say. I had seen pictures of other people's windscreen installations where there were where the windscreen surround had not fitted nicely to the windscreen itself, and had sort of ruckled up as it goes around the corner at the front. The area I'm talking about is here, this round here, and basically I wanted mine to be as perfect as possible. And actually, when I originally attached the windscreen surround onto the fuselage and then inserted the windscreen into it as per the instructions, it was indeed ruckled all around here, and I struggled with it for several days trying to work out why it was like it, how I could change it to fit properly. And I had one of those sort of epiphany moments, and I realized that there's supposed to be a 19mm or thereabouts, I think that's 3/4, is it? Three-quarters of an inch overlap on the between the windscreen surround and the firewall. And this is so you can put some fixings in for the cowling. And it was correct here, but in the middle I had almost no overlap at all. And so I suddenly thought, well, I thought that I'd done something wrong with the firewall, or hadn't got that level or flat, but I checked it, it's absolutely perfect, it's as flat and level and in the right place. Then I thought perhaps it was something to do with the glare shield, and I hadn't installed that correctly, and it was pushing the firewall into the wrong position. But no, that was all perfect as well. What it actually was if you grab hold of the front of the windscreen surround and pull very hard until it's got a 19mm overlap here, 3/4 of an inch overlap or whatever it is. Once that's in the right place, these ruckles disappear and everything fits. And you have to pull pretty hard, I must say, but once you've actually got this part in the right place, and you've got the overlap all the way around here, it fitted perfectly. The only thing that I ended up with was a tiny little piece of excess in the center. And what I decided to do with that, rather than have it boinging up and down, I cut a tiny little slither out, and I mean it was a tiny little slither. It was a 1 mil or maybe 2 mil out of the center here, and I'm going to make a small plate to go over there and hold it down with a couple of rivets, and that should be fine. That's the only modification I did to it, but it was a kind of eureka moment when I grabbed hold of this and pulled as hard as I could until it was in the correct place, and then the ruckles disappeared. The rest of it's been relatively straightforward. Riveting the canopy bows was fun. I don't have a rivet squeezer, so I used a pneumatic gun, and that proved to be a bit of an experience, a bit of a learning experience. Never riveted anything that way before, and I had to buy a special bit to go into the end of the pneumatic gun. I don't know where it is now, probably taken it back upstairs, but trying to actually hold everything in place and rivet on the workbench here was difficult to do on my own. And actually I realised after I'd done the first two, and they didn't look particularly pretty. They're okay, but they're not very pretty because I kept bouncing off the rivet onto the aluminium. I realised that I needed some help, and in the end Katie gave me a hand to hold everything still, because it is quite a violent process. Would have been much better with the squeezing tool, which I've seen used, but both methods work. And so that's what I've been up to. I haven't really been able to make any videos because I've only been sort of coming out here 1 hour at a time here and there, looking at it, drilling a few things, thinking about it a bit more. But everything fits. The thing I was worried about with the windscreen in particular was that it all looked wrong, and when you've got the parts flat on the floor you think, well, how the hell's this all going to fit in? But I tried to do it my way to start off with, and actually ended up doing it the way it says in the instructions, which is basically to fit the windscreen surround in a couple of places, and then insert the windscreen itself from the rear. You have to push really hard and keep pushing it in until it's flush with the edge of the rear edge of the windscreen surround, and it's then in the right place. The only thing is that the front of the windscreen surround is not in the right place, and as I say, a good hard yank on the front of it until you've got an even overlap all the way across the front edge, and you find that all those naughty little ruckles round the edge of the windscreen surround suddenly disappear. Then you can drill it and cleco it, and all is good. So what am I doing next? Well, I am trying to get all the holes put into the top longerons. So I've positioned the windscreen, the canopy frame as best I can. and I've drilled all the holes for the bottom, for the hinge on this side, on the right hand side, into it. I've put the holes for the locating pins on the other side, and the bolts holes that lock the whole thing down, and it all seems to fit first time. Looks as if it's going to be good. And then basically the next, once I've got that done, it's strip the front end completely down where it's not been clecoed, well, it's not been riveted, and then start to reassemble it and rivet it all together, and that should be quite a step forwards. Anyway, that's all from here at the moment. As I say, we're off to the UK to get mother, and we will return second week of November, so I'll be carrying on with it there. Still haven't got the final approval to take everything over to the hangar at the moment. Still waiting for the letter to arrive from the mayor to say that I can move the aircraft, but hopefully that will be here by the time I return from the UK. So see you all a little bit later on.